Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to another special episode of our Books and Booze series. If you don't remember, this is where we invite indie authors onto our podcast, our platform, to discuss their current projects and new books, and to do a small audio snippet of their books for us. And we also get to drink. It's just another excuse to drink, guys. I don't know what to tell you. But here, I'm going to pass it to Dawn to introduce this week's author.
Hey everyone, and I want to welcome Destiny Booth and thank you for joining us on this episode of Books and Booze. If you would like, please tell us about yourself. Where you're from, what made you become an author, what's your drink of choice? We like that question. Anything you want to tell us about yourself, we're nosy. We'd like to hear.
Okay, I love it. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Actually now split my time between Atlanta and the UK. I married an English man, so I split my time. Always wanted to be an author. I started writing at 9 years old, and I don't think I ever stopped.
Oh, that's amazing.
My first little, quote unquote, book was just like the front and back of a sheet of paper, and my handwriting's massive, so there wasn't that much on the paper. And I remember carrying it around in this little red folder and giving it to anybody who would read it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's always been a dream of mine, and 3 years ago now, I finally decided, you know what, it's time to do it.
Good for you.
Yeah, because I always say this to all the authors on here. Finishing a book is the hardest part. Because I have a million ideas, but it's to actually put it to paper and finish it is always the hardest part.
Yeah.
Jessica still is hounding me about if I wrote
did you
today.
write today, Dawn? Dawn, did you write today?
I'll be honest, I did not write today.
I didn't either. Don't feel bad.
What?
I was cleaning the house. I had laundry. Okay, I have to prep because tomorrow I have to go see my son. So
sounds like a bunch of excuses to me. Actually,
hey, you know what?
No one procrastinates like a writer who's supposed to be writing.
Exactly. See, I have someone in my corner now.
Well, you writers stick together, I guess.
All right, Destiny, you want to tell us about this book?
This book, okay. The title says it all. It's called The Trouble with You. It's been trouble from the beginning. This is probably the 7th or 8th draft that I've done. I originally started it January 2021. I live with my husband, my in-laws. All of us came down with the plague. All 5 of us. We were stuck in the house in quarantine. And I'm honestly surprised. I think it was a fever dream. That first draft was so bad. So it's been 2 years in the making now. It's male, it's age gap, it's a whirlwind romance, it's spicy, it's funny, it's finally ready to be out in the world. So
amazing. Male.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so into this, Dawn.
I like a little change up, okay? I mean, male, female's cool and all, but male gives a little extra, a little zing. I like it.
Why is it spicy?
It's spicy. It's that extra hot sauce.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So our drink words today are hot tub, water, and I forget the other 2. I know you picked them. What were they? Hot tub,
fingertips.
Water. Fingertips.
And this is going to be a fun one. Tchaikovsky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I was like, who is Tchaikovsky? So I Googled him, and he's a Russian composer. Yeah. So I learned something because of these drink words.
We got educated.
Awesome. I'm excited to see where this goes, where those words appear.
Yes.
This is the nerve-wracking part.
You're fine. Fine. Here, I'm editing this out. If you flub a line and want to redo it, just leave a pause and redo it. Because then it just, the more space there is, the easier it is to edit. And then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
No stress.
Okay.
Do as many takes as you need.
All right.
We're just going to be here silently drinking.
Okay. Okay, so I'm jumping straight into the middle. This is chapter 10. I tried to pick something that didn't have too many spoilers, but was still kind of give a little bit of a tease. This is from Oliver's point of view, so
Okay.
keep that in mind. Are we ready?
Alright.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm got my glass. I'm ready. Let's
We're
go.
Okay,
excited.
we've. All right. Fucking one good time, get it out of your system. Worst advice I'd ever given myself. And by advice, I mean the 5 second mental debate I had after I caught Tyler in that hallway. The feeling of his muscles under my fingertips made the decision for me. I thought it would just take once. I thought I just needed to get it out of my system and I'd be able to move on from whatever I was feeling. As it turned out, the exact opposite happened. I couldn't stop thinking about him. I'd had a taste, no pun intended, and I wanted so much more. It didn't help that I'd been interrupted by a page before I could put that mouth of his to work. I'd been close to the end of my shift when I caught up with him, and after answering the page that cut our activity short, I headed straight home. He was no doubt well into his pitch by then and would have been a bad idea to wait around. At least, that's what I told myself. But as I laid on the couch staring into space that night, I wanted to go after him. Tyler sent me a text after his workday ended asking to talk, and I had yet to answer it. I didn't know what there was to talk about. Scratch that. Yes, I did. I knew exactly what we needed to talk about, but I was avoiding it. I took a look around the room. Stephanie wasn't home, yet the boxes stacked high around the place made the empty house feel crowded. I'd been spending as much time as I could at work trying not to face the fact that I'd soon be living alone. I hadn't lived alone in a long time. Stephanie moved in almost immediately after Grace had moved out. I'd had about 3 days max of being quote unquote on my own, and even then I spent most of my time at work. I looked at the boxes, then back to my phone. I could only avoid one thing at a time. I folded, snatching my phone off the table. Tonight it would have to be the loneliness. Instead of answering the text, I tapped the call icon before I could talk myself out of it. My heart rate increased with every ring of the line. I was wondering if I'd hear from you. I was both excited and soothed by the sound of Tyler's voice. My body wasn't sure if it should relax or spring to attention. I heard bubbling in the background go quiet as he turned off the jets in the hot tub. How did the pitch go? I asked, dancing around what I really wanted to ask him. As far as I know, it went great. I have an evaluation on Monday to go over it. That's that's good. The line went silent while I worked up the courage to say what I really wanted to. I wanted, no, needed to see him again. I was fighting against everything in my body telling me not to do it. Ollie, the single syllable had my heart thundering in my chest. That. That was why I needed to see Tyler again. The feeling was addictive. Every time I was left alone, my body ached to have him near me again. That was all it took to make me forget every reason I shouldn't have called him. I've, Tyler took a deep breath. Water sloshed as he moved. I've got a bottle of red in the house to myself for the weekend. Come join me? I had to give it to Tyler. He had balls that I didn't possess. He went for whatever he wanted, no matter the consequence. I envied that about him. I closed my eyes and sighed. We forget work, Oliver. I think what we do in private is our business and our business alone. Completely ignoring the alarms in my head telling me that it was a bad idea, I said I'm on my way. Trouble. Every time Tyler Cochran got involved, I only wound up getting myself into more trouble. I shouldn't have leapt off the couch and sped out the door to make the drive to Chase's, but I did. I knew that it was a bad idea, but man, I had no idea how screwed I truly was. I thought I had Tyler wrapped around my finger, but deep down it was the other way around. That simple phone conversation only solidified that. The man only had to say a few words and I'd do whatever he wanted. It was so much more than just sex. Only Tyler wasn't stupid, and he'd figured that out too. But that didn't stop my body from aching all over for Tyler's touch as I made the drive over. I was practically vibrating in my seat as I turned into the driveway and shut the car off. For once, I was grateful for the cool air as my body temperature shot up. Even from the driveway, I could hear the jets from the hot tub. My heart battered my rib cage. I shook as I took in a deep breath. My first steps were unsure, but as I neared the edge of the house and rounded the corner into the backyard, the tentative, uncertain steps turned into quick, eager ones. Leaves crunched under my feet, and the noises from the jets grew louder. I made myself slow down. I smiled when I saw exactly what I wanted. Tyler hadn't heard me coming. He rested on the side of the hot tub with his head closed and his head He rested on the side of the hot tub with his eyes closed and his head in his folded arms. His beautiful, rosy curls were tied into a bun behind his head. Beside him sat an open bottle of red wine and 2 glasses, one half full, the other untouched. I watched the muscles on his back crawl as he took slow, deep breaths, making his tattoos dance across his skin. Music played softly from a speaker somewhere. Tchaikovsky. I thought I was truly asleep, but it was only when I looked out and his fingers dancing across the edge of the tub that I realized he was awake, latching onto the music. The speed and precision at which his fingers moved was scary accurate. He hadn't missed a single note. His fingers slowed as the song came to an end, and I took the opportunity to step onto the concrete patio that housed the hot tub. Tchaikovsky? I questioned. Tyler flinched. His eyes snapped open. Huh? I stepped up to the edge of the tub, letting my fingers flirt with his, my free hand shoved into my pocket. Tchaikovsky, I repeated. I never would have thought you were a classical guy. Tyler lifted onto his knees, his strong arms holding him up on the edge of the tub. You know your composers? I do. My mom was a music teacher. You? My dad played violin for the Atlanta Symphony. Well, that explains one tattoo. Tyler's eyes trailed over my body. Can I take off your shirt? Silently, I nodded. Something had taken over me, something I couldn't quite describe. I was completely entranced in the way Tyler moved. I complied, lifted my arms. Sorry, my TV
That's
just
okay.
turned on.
Okay.
Sorry, let's try that again.
No, that's totally okay.
The ghosts making themselves known. Okay. Silently, I nodded. Something had taken over me, something I couldn't quite describe. I was completely entranced in the way Tyler moved. I complied, lifted my arms as he worked his fingertips underneath the hem of my long sleeve tee and pulled it over my head, letting it drop to the ground. His arms then moved to rest around my neck. His fingers twisted into the curls at my nape. Hot water dripped down my back and chest. Do you play? I whispered. I barely heard myself over the jets, but I didn't want to raise my voice any louder, possibly ruin the incredibly private, intimate moment we were sharing. It was intense, but I was seeing a side of Tyler I'd never seen before, and I loved it. Tyler's eyes studied every visible inch of my body. He seemed content to look without touching. His hands stayed exactly where they were. It only made me crazier. You were playing along to the music really well. It was impressive. Have you ever played for real? Tyler shook his head, bringing one of his hands down to tangle with mine. No, always wanted to, though. I never had the time between school and clubs and sports. Football? Another shake, and he leaned in to nuzzle my neck, sending a shiver down my spine, and it had nothing to do with the cold. I was a competitive swimmer, he said softly. That's what it was. That was what gave him the body that drove me insane. The broad shoulders, the toned abs and arms. I took a chance and stepped a little closer. How'd you get into that? I got my diagnosis as a teenager. The water helps with the pain, takes the pressure off my joints. He shrugged. Plus, it was a way for me to clear my head. It kept me out of trouble. Lupus. It was less of a question and more of a statement. I'd known for weeks. He nodded, those striking brown eyes meeting mine as he pulled his head away from my neck. How'd you know? I smirked. My stomach flipped. I think my heart stopped beating altogether. Let's just say I've done my fair share of observing you. I may have been mistaken, and it could have been the heat of the water and the shock from the cold air, but I swear I saw Tyler blush. He released the curls he was playing with and trailed his wet hands down my chest, stopping on my belt buckle. I watched the denim of my jeans darken as drops of water fell from his hands. Those eyes met mine again. May I? He asked in such a sweet voice, I'd have been an ass to say anything other than no. May I? He asked in such a sweet voice, I'd have been an ass to say anything other than yes. So I nodded. Tyler's eyes stayed locked to mine as he delicately worked the leather free of the buckle. He leaned in a little closer, his fingers lingering on the button of my jeans. Yes, I said against his lips before I could even ask. Tyler hardly had to move to bring our mouths together. The way his lips pressed softly and timidly against mine was a complete 180 compared to before. When his tongue teased the seam of my mouth, he popped open the button on my jeans and slid my zipper down. The wind blew, making me shiver. Tyler let out a low, rumbling laugh and smiled against my lips. Will you get in the water with me? Let me pour you a drink and warm you up. Let me take care of this. I had to brace myself on the edge of the hot tub as Tyler lowered a hand down to palm me through the fabric of my briefs. I opened my eyes to meet his again. Everything in my head said no. Every sense of logic I had told me that it was a bad idea and I should walk away. But there was something about that night, something that changed everything. Those eyes had a hold on me. That man had a hold on me. I knew I was more than screwed when I moved with him and lowered myself into the hot, bubbling water.
And I'm done.
I couldn't see Dawn that entire time, and I just now see you chugging your drink.
Oh, I was like,
Ooh, it's getting hot in here. Woo.
it's on that tub, that's for sure.
Oh, that was good.
I've never read my writing out loud before, so that's a
That's a
No,
first.
that was
Yeah.
good. That was
You
really
want to know
good.
something? We've only done a few episodes so far recorded, and that's been a thing. Like a lot of the authors are like, I've never read this, or like,
Yeah.
it's weird reading this out loud, kind of like,
I should actually take my own advice because I'm an editor as well. And a lot of the comments I get from clients is, "Oh, well, why did you do this?" I said, "Just read it out loud and see how it sounds out loud." But I never do that myself.
yeah,
Until
it's
today.
funny. That's
Until
funny.
today.
That's great.
Oh,
I love
I was
that.
holding in that burp and I was like, no. She needs to finish reading and then I can burp.
Yeah, and nothing ruins a spicy mood like
Like
gas.
that. Yeah. This thing was full, okay, and it's 50-50. There was half vodka, half cranberry juice. It's gone, you guys.
Oh,
To
that's
say I'm feeling
good.
good.
That's
I'm feeling
fun.
good.
Okay, you said you started writing like since you were like 8 years old. Obviously, I'm assuming you didn't start with smut.
No, I didn't. No.
What kind of led you to this genre specifically?
I always, I was, again, 2012, I was in college, obsessed with Pinterest. And
Oh, yeah.
I found this picture that said, if you don't see the book you want on the shelf, write it. And that was when I really started. Of course, I fell into Harry Potter growing up. I fell into Twilight. I read all the
The
like,
classics. They're
yeah, I
classics
read all of
They're
now.
that, but
classics now.
I was like, there's just something. I was like, these are good, but we can do better. And I stumbled upon Ella Frank and Brooke Blaine. Their I think it's the Press Locked series, and I was like, that is what I want to write. That's what I want to do. And I went from Ella Frank. Last year I discovered Tal Bauer. He's incredible. He's everything I aspire to be. And I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm always curious, like how an author chooses their genre, especially like this genre.
Yeah, I wasn't always that intense with it. I always say my books are getting worse as I get better.
You're
My
getting like
first book.
desensitized.
Yeah, my first book, I was very timid because I was like, my family's gonna read this. My grandma was actually one of the first ones to buy my book when I first published it. I was like, just don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me.
We
But
won't discuss this at Thanksgiving. There's no discussion of this.
yeah, the more I wrote, the less I cared.
Good.
And I'm like, if they don't want to read it, they don't have to read it. If they don't like it, they don't have to pick up the book.
That's
I'm
such a great.
excited for like your like 20th book.
Yeah. I can say that this one is my third, and it's the dirtiest so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big 20 is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I
forward
can't
to
wait.
it.
How long does it usually take you to write a book? Since you've written 3, has like it changed from the first book to the third book? Time?
Yeah, it has. The first one I actually got the initial idea for when I was in high school. So almost 12 years ago now.
Okay.
And I wrote a short story and I just couldn't give it up. I couldn't put it down. Over the years, I kept going back and kept going back. I'm like, okay, now that I'm out of high school, I'm going to rewrite this without limitations. Like I don't have censors holding me back. I'm going to rewrite it. And if I get to this many pages, this is what I'm going to publish. So that first book took about 10 years to complete.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything after that was like golden.
Yeah, my second I did during NaNoWriMo, my second time attempting it. It was my first quote unquote win. That I wrote that in about 6 weeks.
Oh wow.
And then this one, the first draft I wrote in about 3 months, but start to finish has taken about 2 years.
Yeah, with editing and other drafts. Yeah. That makes sense.
Do you plan your like stories before writing them, or do you just like write from like basic ideas you have and then just like edit it together afterwards?
It depends. My first one, I was a pantser. There was no planning there whatsoever. And the editing was even harder because of that. So the second one, I was like, I need to have some kind of plan here. About halfway through, the characters went off the rails and did their own thing anyway. And with this one, it was a lot of the same. Like I couldn't plan anything. I just kind of had to let them do their thing. So I'm a bit of half and half.
I love doing this series because like I'm not in like book talk and writing. I read a lot. Like I read like a lot,
Mm.
but like it's so many varieties of genres and stuff, and I don't really focus on like the writing aspect of it. And the term pantser, you're not the first author to use that. And I'm like, that's writing lingo. Like
Yeah.
if you're a pantser, you're just writing, you know? Like
Yeah.
and now I know that. I'm like almost on the in. I feel privileged to be here
She's so
actually.
excited now. She's like, yes,
I
I'm
love
part
it.
of the club.
Yes.
What would you say is the hardest thing about being an author? Like, what is the most challenging thing of it?
Oh, probably everybody reading it. It's sort of like putting your diary out on display for the world to see.
Oh
That's
And
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes it can be the most vulnerable part of yourself.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cause especially like nowadays with like the internet and
Yeah.
like everything being available and you can just like rate it online and
Yeah.
say, yeah, that I can see how that'd be stressful. I
Being
mean,
judged like bothers
Mhm.
me, right? Like you put your heart and soul into this like work of
Yeah.
art and then someone can just come around and be like, I didn't really like it. Like just
Yeah.
read it in like half an hour. I'm like, I skimmed through
Mhm.
it, didn't really like it. And like,
people don't even have to read it though. Like
no,
that's the
and they
thing.
do
No,
it.
they
They
don't.
can
I
just
get
not like you in real life and
yeah,
then just rate you 1 star on Spotify, whoever you are that wanted to do that
Yeah.
to us. I'm just
I got
saying.
Goodreads. I got a 1 star on Goodreads and they said nothing. I'm like, if you're gonna 1 star my book, at least tell me what you didn't like about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. I think that's a fair request. If you're gonna
Yeah.
hate on us, tell us why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like give us some like constructive criticism. We can handle it,
Yeah, what can
clearly.
we do different next time? It like
Yeah.
We might not even do it different. Like I don't care.
yeah.
Like if you're guy, like it's okay, dude. You don't have to like us.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. It's more just like curiosity. I just want to
Yeah.
know. To be fair.
That's true. Yeah. What made you choose to write an romance? Like, and what made you choose to write romance?
I've always been a romance reader. I mean, I've pretty much read this is pretty controversial because a lot of people don't consider him romance, but I love Nicholas Sparks. Love all of
Okay.
his books. I've read almost every single one out there. Um, I don't know. There was just something about it. I appreciate fantasy writers. A lot of my close friends are fantasy writers. I could never do it.
It's hard. That world building, I
It's
could
Yeah, I
I
was
not.
gonna
that's
say it's the world building that's usually the struggle.
yeah, I've got one fantasy romance sort of very, very slowly coming along, and the world building is the hardest part. Um, I
Yeah.
naturally just fell into romance. It was what I like to read the most. It's what I like to write the most.
Mhm.
And as far as MM, I've never been able to write female characters. I've never
Ah,
been able to write a likable female character. It's really hard for me. And my
okay.
second book was my first time that I did that.
Oh,
And the character was originally written as male. And I had a critique partner come back and say, what if this character was female? So I did it and it worked. And that was the first time in 20 years of writing that I've been able to do that.
Do you think you'll try writing like more female characters in the future?
Yeah, I'd like to. I would really like to. Just to branch out because I don't want to fall sort of into the same old storylines over and over.
Yeah,
true.
fair.
Though,
Um,
like, male isn't that big. Like, there's a lot of male and female out there, but there's
Yeah.
not that many male. There's even a
Hmm.
more what's it called?
Sapphic.
Sapphic
Yeah.
romances, which is female. But there's not that many males.
okay, this is just an inside thing. I do music, and my favorite thing was like you can use my songs as sounds on TikTok. And I only have like 16 videos under like one of my sounds, but one of them was someone marketing their gay romance book using my song. So I was like, "Oh, I was like good. I was like, yeah, this is where it's at." So I just want to say thank you, guy that did that.
I'm gonna have to go look up your music now.
She's
It
like,
was
I'm
the
next.
best. Yeah, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, like they're using it to market their TikTok or their TikTok like, oh my gosh, I'm like so close to being in the writing community.
Yeah.
And I haven't even written a book. I'm getting there. I'm getting the lingo. I'm stealing my culture from you writers. That's what I'm doing now.
I'm slowly gonna wheel her into book talk. Slowly.
I'm on horror book talk.
That's true, because I keep sending you links to that because I know you like horror books.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get you
Is
onto
there another genre you like? Would you ever explore? Like, I know you said fantasy romance. Is there like any other genres you think you might explore in your writing?
I would actually love to write horror. I love horror movies. I love horror books. I love all
or even
things
suspense thriller, right?
Yeah, my first one had a little bit of suspense in it, but it was still more of a romance than there was that suspense factor.
Mhm.
I'd love to write something scary.
Oh, that'd be so good. If you do, I'm definitely there. I love horror. It's one of my favorite fiction genres, I think.
She loves horror movies, like anything like
Yeah, I love it.
horror.
I'm a
So
big baby, but I will be a big baby and I'm still watching The Exorcist.
that's true. Like I can't watch horror movies that much now, but some of my favorite movies was like Child's Play. Like growing up, like I love Chucky. That I don't know why. I just love the killing doll. That was just my
Saw
thing.
is one of my favorite franchises ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first one was just
Yeah.
It was art. It was just straight up art. Like I had an every other weekend dad, right? So he didn't like censor ever. So like I started watching horror movies when I was 2 and I was like like, oh, they're just dressing up and doing whatever. Like it didn't scare me until like I saw werewolves. And then I was terrified of werewolves for some reason. Zombies, no problem. No problem. Got vampires, not an issue, but werewolves could not stand them until I was older. I think until Ginger Snaps came out. When Ginger Snaps came out, it kind of humanized werewolves for me.
Leprechaun was my thing. I couldn't stand Leprechaun.
actually. So loved Chucky, loved the Scream franchise, loved it. The movie that got me was Strangers. The one where they're in the woods.
Because that's realistic.
That's exactly it. I was like, you're never gonna catch me going to a cottage after a wedding alone and someone knocking on the door. Freaking answer the door. Just like, what are you doing?
There's so many horror movies about being in a cabin that is like, if I'm going to be in a cabin, it's in a trailer park full of cabins. Like that.
There's another one.
There's a community there.
Strangers 2, right? I think it's number 2, is in a trailer park.
Okay, I used to live in a trailer park.
I did too.
Like that's just
but like you think you're safe, but you're not. Okay, that's the point.
Well, I mean, they make horror movies now about like true things that happened.
No, I can watch true crime. Like, no big deal.
And then you like watch them and you're like, oh my god, this is a dramatization, but shit, that's like real.
Yeah, like I can watch true crime shows and be fine, but movies about true crime, I'm like, no, thank you, I'm good.
But it's good. I mean, I don't like roller coasters, so like I get my adrenaline from horror movies.
Exactly.
That's like where I draw it, and video games, horror video games too, and horror books.
Yeah,
just horror.
What would you like? What advice would you give someone, like an inspiring author, if you could sit someone down? What advice would you give to them?
Just write the book.
That's what I'm saying.
It's that easy and it's that hard. It's my hardest thing when I sat down. I was like, I'm writing a book. Everyone was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. You'll sit over there with your notepad and your paper. I think in my high school, there was about 6 of us that we were writing a book, and people were like, they'll never do it.
Yeah.
So
I remember people in my high school who were apparently writing books. They don't have any books out.
Yeah.
So.
I think the hardest part is like, you have to find the program that you're going to use to like write your book on. Like if you're going to use Microsoft Word, or if you're going to use Google Docs, or if you're going to use, there's a bunch of programs now. And I don't know where to start. Like I have one on Microsoft 365, which is Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And I have another one on Google Docs. And I don't know which one's better. And I'm like,
I'm torn too. I was so attached to Microsoft Word for so long, and it was literally just back in July maybe of last year that I downloaded Scrivener, and I was like, okay, this isn't terrible. And it's just been in the last few weeks that I've really fell in love with using it and learning it. And now they have everything. It's cross device. So I've got my laptop, I've got my phone. You can write on a tablet.
Oh, see,
that's
I didn't even think
awesome.
of that.
Microsoft does that too.
Oh, see,
So I've got all three. I've got Microsoft, I've got Google Docs, and I've got Scrivener, like on all my devices.
see,
That's
I
so
wouldn't even think
smart.
of that.
And
Like
I
I
went
knew you could
from
do Word. I think I knew you could do Word on
Mhm.
your phone too, because I think I have that on my phone. But I didn't know that you could do other ones like
Mhm.
Google Docs. I could not figure that one out.
Yeah, I mean, coming from we were all writing books in high school. I remember I had notebooks just full of random stuff.
Yeah.
And now to
Yeah.
go from that to having these programs, it makes it easier. It does.
Oh
And
my
Right?
gosh.
yeah.
Technology in the past like even 10 years is like crazy. The shit you can do.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah. Well,
so.
like there's so much like aspects too, right? Like there's editing and formatting. I'm like, I can write, but like, am I gonna format it right? How do I
Oh
have to
yeah.
hire someone to format for me because I don't know what I'm doing?
Okay, how about this? How about this? You just fucking write it first.
Yeah, get the book
And
done.
then we deal with the rest of it.
I
You
have so
know?
many
Like
critique partners that are like, what about my cover? And what do I do with this? I'm like, you need words on paper before you start thinking about
yeah,
that.
yeah, you hear that, Dawn? Someone who's published is saying what I'm saying, so it has merit.
I'm just saying, like, you just get so lost, right? Like, you just hear all this like advice, and like if you're on TikTok, right? And they're telling you all like authors give their like tips and stuff, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, I didn't think about that. What? Oh, I have to find like an illustrator for my covers now? Like, then your list just
Okay, no,
grows
Dawn,
before I even
Dawn,
write.
Dawn, Dawn, Dawn.
Yes. Yeah.
Sonia will illustrate. I'll edit and format. You just fucking
Write
write.
the book.
Half of this series is just telling Dawn to write. Like I feel like that's what this series Books and Booze is just to make Dawn
I mean, I
realize.
need that too. So
Yeah. Maybe our series finale will be Dawn releasing her book. So we'll just have to keep bringing on in other authors and stuff. Just keep promoting until Dawn finishes her book. It's gonna last forever.
And get every author to yell at me and be like, have you wrote today?
yeah.
Finish your fucking book, woman.
We'll get that on a t-shirt. Have you
We
written
should.
today?
Have you written today, Dawn?
I'm actually I was lucky enough to get selected if you're on like AuthorTube at all. Jenna Moresi is coming out with a self-help book. And it's called
Oh.
Shut Up and Write the Damn Book. And I was lucky enough to get an art copy, and it's amazing so far. Like I highly
Jessica,
recommend
that's
it.
what I want for my birthday then. If I haven't finished my book.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll look for that because that would be perfect for you, Dawn.
It
Perfect.
would be. Would be. I'd say for Christmas, but if I don't have my book finished by like next year.
Yeah. You've been working on it for a while. She wrote a book in a couple weeks, like 6 weeks. And then another one in 3 months. Like, I'm just saying.
Okay, but her first one was 10 years. All right. So you know what?
How long have you been working on your book, Dawn?
Like almost, well, the first one was almost a year, but I gave up and I started a new story. And like
That's the trouble with shiny new idea syndrome. Those plot
Right?
bunnies, they're running
Like,
around all over the place.
I
This
went
is why
for
I
a
said
nap.
finishing is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Like coming up with the idea, easy peasy. I have a million. But like finishing the idea and making it a cohesive thing,
Yeah.
that's the hardest part.
Like I was laying in bed and I couldn't sleep, and just this thought just kept coming about this idea that I had, and I don't want to announce it just because in case someone tries to steal it. But I've been mentioned it to you about like a secret society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read your like first 3 pages.
No, that was another one.
That was another one.
That was my
Oops,
first
my
one.
bad.
But like, so I had this idea, and I'm like, I need to write this down. So like, I wrote like keynotes of like the characters and like their different aspects.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and then I just started writing. I'm still not even done chapter 1, but I've at like 2,000 words in chapter 1. I'm like, maybe I need to cut this in half. I don't know.
No, you just fucking write. Just write it. Just to finish it before you edit. Just write it. Write it, and
Yeah.
then once it's done, then you can be like, okay, this is too long. I'm gonna cut. But like, don't worry about that now. You have to finish it first.
Okay.
Don't worry. Just finish it.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, Mom.
Right.
Yes, Mom.
Hey, if you want to write about that, huh? Wink.
Mommy. Instead of daddy issues, it's mommy issues. You want to be my
Okay,
sugar mama?
we know we have mommy issues. We talk about it a lot on this show. That's just part of life, apparently.
Get a mommy kink.
Don't get
A
me
mommy
started.
praise kink.
Oh my god, now you're talking my kind of smut. Do you have any more questions?
No, I think I asked all my questions. Do you have any
Yeah.
questions?
I asked all mine. This is like awesome. We got a whole writing history, and I think maybe this will be the kick in the ass you need, Dawn.
Yes, Mom.
And I love the drinking words. They were very well placed throughout that chapter.
They were.
It was
like,
amazing.
my glass, man. It was full. I'm like,
That's the only thing I saw. I moved my Scrivener window over. It was your glass tipped up. Like.
Taking it.
Okay, if you want to plug your socials, and I heard you have a giveaway or something.
I do have a giveaway.
Yeah,
my socials
go
are
ahead.
really easy. It's Destiny Booth Writes everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And the giveaway, I'm actually trying to get my TikTok to 1,000 followers. In April, I'll be sending out arcs of The Trouble with You, and for the week, let's do the week after the podcast goes live. Everyone that follows me on TikTok, obviously 18 and up. I would love to do international, but unfortunately right now it's the US only. But everyone in the US 18 and up to follow me on TikTok and comment the drink word on the video that I posted today, so Saturday the 21st, will be entered to win. I'm giving away 2 art packs of The Trouble with You.
Ooh.
Okay, this episode is going to be on February 9th.
Yes, it'll be released then.
It will be released February 9th.
Okay, so for the week
we'll
after
even advertise on Opinionated Lushes TikTok or our Instagram, and I'll post it on my personal one too, to get the ball rolling.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
No, it's all gonna get posted. Yeah, so this episode, so the week after February 9th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be up for 1 week. It'll be open for 1 week after the podcast.
So up until February 16th.
Yeah.
From February 9th to February 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo!
All right.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, good night, and thank you again for joining us on our 3rd episode of Books and Booze.
Thank you for having me.
This was so fun.
It was, yeah.
Yes, it was nice meeting you, Destiny.
It was wonderful to meet you.
I'm just saying, like, I've never read smut. Like some horror books have like smut in it, but it's never like the main story. So like this is all new to me, and I just have to say, like, being one of our first, like, we've only done like a handful of authors so far. This is like such an eye-opening experience. I'm gonna have to start reading.
Welcome to the dark side.
I know, you guys are converting me.
I'm gonna start giving her books and just slide in them.
Yeah.
Like, you need to read this. You need to read this.
Oh, I'm getting converted here. That's fine. Well, anyways, thanks for coming to this Books and Booze episode, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.